So guys, when you walk into a room, the trap does activate, and you're gonna have to roll a dex save or take... Oh, I'm actually gonna need more dice, so I'm gonna go grab more. You guys just roll your dex saves and tell me how you did, okay? Okay, let's roll. Come on. Oh, come on, please be good. Okay, I got my backup dice bag ready to go. Have you rolled yet? Oh, I was waiting for you to roll. 16? Cheating is a problem that exists in all games. If there's a system, people will try to exploit it. And if there's a possibility of failure, people will do whatever means necessary to get that as close to zero as possible. So what can you do? Whether you're a game master or another player who's noticed a player's cheating, here are the things that you should do. The first thing we have to do is recognize the type of cheating that's going on. Cheating comes in many different shapes and sizes, and knowing the type of cheating that's going on is important to handling the situation moving forward. I feel like we can summarize the type of cheaters into 3 different categories, from least bad to most bad: the accidental, the impulsive, and the premeditated. The accidental is simply a person who misremembers a rule or does the math wrong in their head and says a higher number than they've actually got. The accidental doesn't actually know that they've cheated, or maybe in worst case scenario realize that they've cheated much too late to do anything about it. This person's cheating will end once they figure out the rules of the game and get more comfortable playing. The impulsive cheater is the type of person who did not intend on cheating when they showed up to the table, but in the heat of a battle or an intense saving throw, they might re-roll when they notice no one saw them roll their dice, or they might use a spell that they didn't have prepared. This is actually the most common type of cheating that I see. A person who, in nervousness, makes an error in their judgment and does something they shouldn't have done. This person will stop being a cheater once they realize that these games aren't just about the winning, but it's also about the failure. The impulsive cheater's problem isn't that they are a bad person. Their problem is that they have the wrong mindset coming into D&D. The premeditated. This is the person who comes to the table intending to cheat. Maybe they gave themselves spells that they know they're not supposed to have, or in the worst of circumstances, show up to the table with rigged die to let themselves roll better. This person likely cheats in many other aspects of their lives and is unlikely to change without seriously looking into themselves or an intervention. Now, it is my motto that you should always start by giving someone the benefit of the doubt and to not jump to conclusions. So, without true hard evidence, you shouldn't assume that someone is a premeditated cheater. Always assume that they're an accidental and at worst an impulsive cheater. Now, when you do spot it, it's important to now casually correct the behavior. Just say, hey, didn't you already use your spell slots for today? Or, hey, I think you got the math wrong here. Give the person the opportunity to correct themselves. People who cheat don't like to admit it. An impulsive cheater's not going to like to admit it because they're shamed or embarrassed, while a premeditated cheater is still trying to get away with it, and therefore they're not going to admit it either. Now, whether or not they admit it or not is not the important part. The important part is making sure the person is aware that you're paying attention to what everyone is doing, and if they are doing that behavior, they are going to get caught. If you're continuing to see cheating at your table even after correcting them, now is the time to have a private conversation. If you're not the DM, you want to make sure that the DM is part of the conversation you're going to have, or even better, make sure that they're going to have the conversation. If you are the DM, don't tell your other players that you're going to have this conversation with this player unless another player has specifically brought up that they've noticed the cheating to you. At this point, you will still not want to treat this person as a premeditated cheater. This is your opportunity to speak to this person and make it clear that if it's an accident and they're really just struggling with the rules, that you're there to help them and help them figure out the game, and that there's other players who will help them remember things if they need help, and that they can just ask questions. If the person is an impulsive cheater, you have to make them aware that they're coming into D&D with a bad outlook. Their perspective in D&D is that at the end of the game, you either won or you lost. And that would be determined by how many enemies you killed compared to everyone else, how much gold and loot you got compared to everyone else, and how much damage you took compared to everyone else. These type of things are what lead the impulsive cheater to cheat. And you have to let them know that this is not the type of game where you win or you lose. That's just not D&D. Now, I would recommend being careful having this conversation with someone, especially because those feelings of having to win and not feeling comfortable with losing can often be tied with self-esteem. You just have to let them know, hey, this is how D&D works. You need to think of D&D differently. Now, if the person can't change their perspective, or even worse, they are a premeditated cheater and have no intention on changing, now is the time that you have to decide if it's time to let them go. Sometimes people will cross a line that should not be crossed, and trust is lost that cannot be regained. DMs put in a lot of work, and showing up to a game with the intention to cheat is such a big sign of disrespect against the DM that it will often be not worth it to try to redeem that player. After benefit of the doubt has run out, after you have spoken to this person about their behavior and you're seeing no sign of change, you sometimes have to tell them that they just can't be invited back to the table. This can be a difficult and uncomfortable conversation to have, and depending on the person, this can also be incredibly scary, but it's also sometimes necessary. DMs put in a lot of love and care into their games. They'll spend hours of their own personal time planning out ways to make the game most fun for you. And all they're ever really asking from you is two things. Just show up on time and don't cheat. Remember that all the steps up to this point have been a courtesy. Assuming that the person you're playing with is someone you want to continue playing with. You're not a bad DM if you don't follow these steps. Once you know you no longer want to play with someone, that is the time you need to let them go. And finally, when someone has to be removed from a game, do not speak ill of them if you have to remove this person. Some players might be aware of the reason why, and some might not, depending on your circumstances. Even if you do have the right to talk badly, or if other people at the table are talking badly, it's important to keep some level of respect and maturity, even if they don't deserve it. You might think that this is unnecessary, but everyone will remember you being a bigger person in this scenario. This video ended up being a little more serious than I originally intended it to be, so if you did like it, let me know by subscribing. And if you want to see more videos which are slightly more lighthearted, I have a ton of those I've released in the last month, so click on any of those if you want to see more. Thank you so much. This is the end of the video.